In 1800, money is gold. Not paper, not promises, metal, weighed and stamped, and a nation's true wealth is measured by how much of it sits locked in the vaults of its treasury. Britain leads. The Bank of England, anchor of the richest empire on earth, holds more of the metal than anyone, and within a few years, Britain will make it official, pegging the pound to gold and inventing the modern gold standard, the system the whole world will eventually copy. But across the Channel, a rival is stacking bullion of its own. Napoleon builds the Banque de France to fund his wars and his empire, and gold pours into Paris. By 1817, France passes Britain and takes the top of the table. And there it stays, decade after decade, the largest gold hoard in the world through nearly the entire 19th century. This is the age of the gold standard, and its logic is simple and iron-hard. Every banknote is a claim on metal, every currency only as trustworthy as the gold behind it, and so every great power races to pile up as much of it as it can. Britain and France trade the lead. Russia builds the third great reserve in the East, and a young, half-formed United States sits far down the list, a farming republic with barely a vault to its name. For now, the story of gold is a European story, a contest between London and Paris, empire against empire, each measuring its power in tons of metal underground. But halfway around the world, the ground itself is about to give up more gold than anyone has ever seen. In 1848, a carpenter finds gold in a California riverbed, and the world changes. Within 3 years, there is another great strike in Australia, and gold that took centuries to accumulate is suddenly pulled from the earth by the shipload. The rushes pour a flood of new metal into the global economy, and the young United States, sitting on the richest of the strikes, begins its long climb up the table. Still, France holds the crown. The Banque de France guards a hoard no one can touch, and through the 1850s and 60s and 70s, Paris remains the gold capital of the world. Then the map of power shifts. In 1871, a newly unified Germany, flush with the gold it has just extracted from a defeated France, throws its currency onto the gold standard, and one by one, the rest of the world follows. Nation after nation ties its money to metal, and the classical gold standard is born. A single global system in which gold flows freely across borders and settles every debt between nations. But underneath it, the balance is tilting west. The American economy is now the largest on earth, its factories and farmland generating wealth on a scale the old empires cannot match, and its treasury is filling with gold. Year by year, the American bar climbs the chart, past Russia, past Britain, closing on France. And around 1888, it happens. The United States overtakes France and seizes the top of the table for the first time. The center of the gold world has crossed the Atlantic, and it will not cross back for a very long time, because the country that has just taken the lead is about to be handed, by history itself, nearly all the gold on earth. By 1900, the classical gold standard rules the world. From London to Tokyo, currencies are fixed to gold, and to one another. Trade balances settle in bullion shipped between central banks, and for a few golden decades the system holds in near-perfect equilibrium. America sits at the top with some 2,000 tons, the new giant of a stable, interconnected age. It feels permanent. It feels like the natural order of things. And then, in the summer of 1914, it all comes apart. The First World War shatters the gold standard overnight. To pay for the slaughter, the warring nations suspend gold convertibility and print money without limit, And to buy American guns, grain, and steel, Europe ships its gold across the ocean by the ton. 4 years of war drain the old world's vaults and pour their contents into American ones. By the time the guns fall silent, the United States holds a hoard without precedent. Through the 1920s, America is the world's great creditor, and gold keeps flowing in. Britain struggles back onto the gold standard, then buckles and abandons it when the Depression hits. And then, in 1933, comes the decision that seals America's dominance. The United States calls in its own citizens' gold, devalues the dollar, and fixes a new price, $35 an ounce, that makes American vaults the most attractive place on earth to store the metal. Gold floods in from a frightened, unstable world, from a Europe bracing for another war, from anyone seeking safety. The American Reserve rockets past 10,000 tons, then 13,000, dwarfing every rival. No nation in history has ever held so much. And in 1944, with the war nearly won, the Allies gather at Bretton Woods and build the post-war order around that gold. The dollar is fixed to the metal. Every other currency is fixed to the dollar, which is now, they declare, as good as gold itself, because America holds almost all of it. By 1950, the American hoard reaches its peak, nearly 20,000 tons, almost 3/4 of all the official gold on the planet. So much that the country builds a fortress at Fort Knox simply to hold it. It is the greatest concentration of gold in human history, and it is the beginning of the end. Because as Europe and Japan rebuild and begin to run surpluses, they start doing exactly what the rules allow, handing back their dollars and asking for gold in return. Germany's reserve swells, and Switzerland's and Italy's. France, under de Gaulle, converts its dollars into bullion as a matter of open defiance, and the great American pile begins, slowly and then steadily, to shrink. 20,000 tons, then 17, then 14, draining out of Fort Knox and back across the sea. By 1971, the arithmetic no longer works. There are far more dollars in the world than there is gold in America to redeem them, and the run is accelerating. So on a Sunday in August, President Nixon goes on television and closes the gold window. The United States will no longer trade its gold for dollars. In a single announcement, the link between money and metal, the thing that had defined the entire history you have just watched, is severed. Bretton Woods collapses. Currencies begin to float, their value set by markets rather than bullion, and gold is quietly demonetized. No longer the thing that money is, merely a thing that money can buy. And yet, the central banks do not sell. They hold. America's reserve settles at 8,133 tons, and there it stays. Through the 1970s, the 80s, the 90s, unchanged, year after year, a monument to a monetary age that has already ended. Below it, Germany holds its 3,000 tons, and Switzerland, France, and Italy cluster just behind. At the very top, for decades, nothing moves at all. Gold has become a relic, and the chart, for a while, simply freezes. Then, the relic falls out of fashion entirely. Through the late 1990s, gold is the asset nobody wants, the price scraping the bottom, and the central banks of the West decide their hoards are dead weight. Switzerland sells off half its gold. Britain auctions away most of its own at the very bottom of the market, in a sale still remembered as one of the worst timed in financial history. The West is letting its gold go, and in the East, someone is buying. Quietly at first, then unmistakably, China, whose reserves sat frozen for decades, begins to build, 1,000 tons, then 2. Russia pours its wealth into bullion to armor itself against sanctions and against the dollar, and climbs into the top 5. India and Turkey follow, and in the 2020s, the world's central banks buy gold at the fastest pace in modern history, a rush back into the ancient metal. Yet, when the dust settles, in 2026, the king has not changed. The United States still holds 8,133 tons, nearly a third of all the gold on the board, the same hoard it seized before most of us were born, with Germany, Italy, and France beneath it, and Russia and China now pressing up from below. 2 centuries have carried the world's gold from London to Paris to a vault in Kentucky, and now, ton by ton, it is beginning to move again toward the east, measured, in the end, by the only number that ever counted: how much gold a nation could actually hold in its hands.